Well, there's going to be a change to the coaching setup for the Netherlands after the World Cup. Joined by Ali Moreno to discuss. And sadly, Ali, for Louis van Gaal, some health issues mean that he will not be continuing in his role. And he's going to be replaced by Ronald Koeman for a second spell in charge of the Dutch. First of all, what do you make of the appointment to come following the World Cup?
It's a logical one when you think about what the reality was of the Dutch national team before Ronald Koeman took over. There were difficulties. There seemed to be a gap in talent. There seemed to be very little direction, and there seemed to be essentially no plans and no identity as to what they were going to be, because this is a team that had failed to go to the World Cup, that had failed to achieve the things that you expect from a Dutch national team. So Ronald Koeman came in and he gave the team an identity, and he gave opportunity to younger players, and he sort of bridged that talent gap, and they began to play better, getting the results, qualifying to Euros. And at that point, you felt like, well, he has done a good job. He has turned around what was a difficult situation. But then he went off to Barcelona. So he has sort of rehabbed his image with the national team that had failed at Everton, that had failed in other places, and now came to the Dutch national team, did a good job, felt like things were going in the right direction for him, goes to Barcelona, and then that image that he had rehabbed took a major hit at Barcelona, where he ended up getting fired. So if you're Dutch, you're thinking, okay, do we focus on the Barcelona part? Do we focus on the Everton part? Or do we focus that when he was here coaching the national team, he was successful to some degree? If you choose to focus on that, then that's when the decision becomes logical.
Well, he helped the Dutch qualify for the Euros. He was a fantastic player for club and country. Do you think he's a good coach?
Oh boy, that question has so many layers to it. Evaluate it from the Dutch perspective and Dutch national team, and you say what we've seen from him has been pretty good. What we've seen from him is something that we can build on. If you then go to Barcelona and say you are a Koeman supporter, you would argue for him in saying, look, he had to handle the most awkward position to be in, and that is the Messi-less transition at Barcelona. That was never going to be easy for whoever was involved. And while people may say, well, look at Xavi, he's done much better with the same group of players. Is it really the same group of players? No, it isn't. Because after the January transfer window, that team changed dramatically. And the pieces in place made that team a whole lot better. Now, were they feeling a whole lot better about themselves under Xavi than they were under Koeman? Yes. But were the results significantly better under Xavi compared to Koeman before the January transfer window? Not that much better. Not significantly better. So you can look at Ronald Koeman's time in Barcelona and say that that was a failure and that he ended up getting fired because of it. Or you can choose to say he was in an impossible position to begin with. There's a lot of arguments to go in either way. I think there were moments at Barcelona in which Ronald Koeman was overwhelmed, and moments in which he did not handle the locker room and cater to the locker room in a manner in which he would have gotten the support from the players, and the feeling about the team would have been much better. But it's different coaching club than it is country. You don't see these guys, but maybe, I don't know, twice every 2 or 3 months or so. And if you're a national team player, you want to be a part of that picture. So if the coach for a week or two tells you to do a job, you do the job because you want to be back the next time around. It is as simple as that. It isn't a daily thing. And so I think maybe in that setup, Ronald Koeman is better than what he has been at the club setup.
Continuing that thread, as someone who represented his country on many occasions for Venezuela, do you think players would have more respect for a coach if they are a former national team player and captain, or does it not really matter?
No, it matters. It matters. when you have a guy walk into that door that has gone through the same experiences that you've gone through and has been successful doing it, that is built-in equity, that is built-in credibility, and that's going to last for a while, up until the players figure out, well, this guy don't know what he's talking about. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. But in order to get to that point, you have to egregiously fail. You have to be flagrant in your lack of understanding of your group and the players that you have available and your personnel and your coaching sessions and your training sessions. I think there's enough credibility and built-in equity when you've been successful as a national team player and a national team captain, and you have been at that sort of level. Players are going to gravitate towards you and are going to give you every opportunity to make sure that you get it right. But if you show up and you don't seem to have a clue as to what you're doing, then the players will be the first one to turn right back around and say, no, not this guy. I don't care what he did. He clearly is out of touch. That may have been 20, 30 years ago, but right now what he's doing doesn't work. So it really depends on the plans put forth from the coach and whether that credibility that he had coming in continues to grow if you're able to communicate those ideas clearly with your players.
Final question. We all wish Louis van Gaal well. We all hope he will one day return to football if that's what he chooses. Regardless of that, what's his legacy in the game, Ali, Louis van Gaal?
An influential manager on the field, and I think an influential character on the sideline as well. A guy that, whether you like his personality or not, whether you gravitate towards him or not, he spoke his mind. He spoke out, wasn't afraid to have an opinion. And again, you may or may not subscribe to his opinions. You may or may not like the way he went about things and how direct he may have been in criticizing a player or two or a club or two. But at the very least, what you got from him was his version of the truth and his version of honesty. And his teams, generally speaking, on the field were successful. And that says a lot for a manager. In the end, that's a responsibility. Number one responsibility for a coach is success on the field. He was successful. There's no question about that.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.